First off, when you're buying your belly pork, make sure it's a nice even cut. We got ours from Wild Farm. Let's take some kitchen roll. Just make sure that you pat the meat dry. You'll see there's quite a bit of moisture on there. This meat is already scored, as you can see, but if you want to do it yourself, a Stanley knife works really well. Just make sure you only cut as deep as the fat. Don't cut as deep as the meat. It's not what we want to do. We're just going to run a few cuts along. And we're going to get just a little bit of vegetable oil. Pour that on. Then we're just going to get some salt and black pepper. Pop the meat on here, and we're going to cover the meat itself and just leave the skin exposed. And that's just going to help that skin dry out in the fridge. Now you can dry it in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. So just going to make sure that's nice and tight. Yep. And all we're going to do is get some coarse rock salt. Just going to spread a little bit. This is going in the fridge overnight, and we'll see what it's like tomorrow. The pork's been in the fridge overnight, and you'll notice that there's starting to get some brown patches around here. And you'll also notice that there's some moisture on the surface, so while it's in the fridge, make sure that you're constantly just patting it down, removing any of that excess moisture. You want to make sure that the skin's nice and dry. And you can just brush off any of that excess sea salt. We're going to switch to fine sea salt. So I don't think that there's a great difference in it, but this is what I found works for me. Make sure that the meat's still nice and tucked in, so you don't want that drying out. So that's now covered in fine sea salt. It's going back in the fridge overnight, so for my cook it's a total of 2 nights, but you can go up to 3 nights. It's now Sunday evening. As you can see, the skin's dried out. It started to turn a bit of a brown colour. And now for the first secret, white wine vinegar. We don't need loads, but we're just gonna give that a splash and just cover the skin. Now, it might smell quite strong, but trust us, it's gonna evaporate off. You're not going to have vinegar taste in pork. And although it does seem counterproductive to put vinegar on the meat, because you'd think the drier the better, the acid in the vinegar does actually help the pork bubble and crackle. And that's how you end up with the perfect crackling every time. We're going to take around 200 to 250 grams of coarse sea salt. The white from 1 egg. A nice splash of white wine vinegar. So you just want to mix this together and you'll end up with a really slushy consistency. You're going to cover the surface with that mixture. Okay, so we're going to pop that in at 180 on fan setting for 60 minutes. So the pork's now been in the oven for an hour. As you can see, the salt has gone solid. We're just going to pour those juices back onto the tray just to keep it nice and tender. So then we're going to return this to the oven at 220 degrees on fan setting on the top shelf for 30 to 40 minutes. You're going to have to keep a close eye because this is the critical stage where you're going to see it bubbling, crackling, and you've got to keep a close eye to make sure that you don't burn it. Pork's been in the oven for 35 minutes, and as you can see, it's absolutely golden. So we just want to leave that to air dry for 5 to 10 minutes, and that'll help the crackling just crisp up.